We're going to talk about GLP meds. What do you do when you get to the top and there's no place left to go? You're on the 15 of Mounjaro or Zepbound, or you're on the 2.4 of Wegovy. You feel like it's just not doing it for you anymore. So what do you do? Do you stop the medications? Do you switch to the other medication? If you're on Mounjaro, do you switch to, if you're on Zepbound, do you switch to Wegovy? If you're on Wegovy, do you switch to Zepbound? Do you add something else in there? Do you try to add in exercise more? Do more weight training? Do more walking? What do you try to do when you get to the top and there's no place else to go? Let's open that tonight. Let's open the category of stacking. Stacking is one way that you can go when you get to the top and you feel there's no place else to go. You feel like the medication is not doing you justice anymore, but you don't want to stop it. You don't want to switch. You feel like you're maxing out on your movement. So you ask the doctor, what now? Now what do I do? Hi, Pris. So we're going to dive into the topic of GLP-1 receptor agonists and stacking. If you're on semaglutide, tirzepatide, or just thinking about using these medications, listen up. Because mixing, matching, and stacking, it's trending. And here are some of the safety concerns, some of the safety caveats. We're going to talk science, safety, and what people are really doing with these meds behind the scenes. Hi, Tuli. Pris, did I say hi? Hi, Pris. So we're going to start with what exactly are GLP-1 receptor agonist medications. Most people refer to them, hi Nancy, as GLP-1s, just a broad category. And they leave off the most important part. GLP-1 medications are actually GLP-1 RA medications. They are GLP-1 receptor agonist medications. But that's too clunky to say. So we call them GLP-1s. What they are doing is we inject the GLP-1 RA into our bodies, and it is the little brother goes into our body and it takes calories hand and it goes out to find the big sister, which is the GLP-1. It's the hormone that's already in our body. That's why it's actually incorrect to call it the GLP-1 medication. The GLP-1 portion is actually already in our body. The GLP-1 hormone is in our body. So the little brother takes calorie, goes and finds the big sister. And that big sister is sleeping. And the little annoying brother kicks the bed of the big sister and tells her to wake up and do her job. And you know what GLP-1's job is? Lots of things. GLP-1 is the little multitasker of our bodies. She can go to the heart, the liver, the stomach, the kidneys, the ovaries, many places in our bodies and fix broken anatomy and do what she is supposed to be doing, but instead she was sleeping. So all we're doing is waking up a hormone that's already in our bodies, that went to sleep, that's not supposed to be asleep. So the GLP-1s, RAs, they make that hormone signal the hypothalamus in your brain that you are full. It slows your digestion and it regulates your blood sugar. It does not just lower your blood sugar, it regulates it. It only lowers it if there is calories present. It does not lower it to an unsafe level. That is why non-diabetics can take this medication without worrying about hypoglycemic events. We need one more heart puff, guys. One more heart puff to meet our flash goal. We have 5 minutes to get one more heart puff. Thank you, Pris. Goal achieved. Yay. We made the TikTok gods happy. So it stabilizes the blood sugar. The GLP-1 RA medication line was originally for type 2 diabetics. But they noticed that there was also WL with those diabetics. So now they are being used for WL, insulin resistance, PCOS, even heart and kidney protection. Like I said, they are the little multitaskers of our bodies. They are becoming a scientific breakthrough of the medical world. So are you hitting a plateau on your GLP-1? Are you at 15 Manjaro? And it just doesn't seem to be going anywhere now? You're on 2.4 Wegovy and the food noise is coming back? You're not alone. That's actually a very common occurrence. As we get longer into using the dual agonists and longer into using a strong semaglutide like Wegovy, we are finding that that is a common occurrence. It doesn't necessarily mean that the medication stopped working for you. It may mean that your metabolism has recalibrated, that your body is fighting to maintain a set point. Your body is still fighting against you. Your body, hi Alpha, your body does not want you to lose. So let's break it down and look at smart, evidence-based options, including medications and what to consider. So, why it may seem that the GLP stopped working. Weight loss naturally slows the more weight you lose because you're burning fewer calories as you get smaller. It's not failure, it's biology. A larger body, if we both sit side by side, this body at rest takes more calories to just exist than this body. So just sitting on the couch, this body actually burns more calories than this body. Does that make sense? So they can eat the same exact thing and this one would maintain while this one would gain. Because this one would burn it. Because they utilize more calories to exist than this one. So as we shrink also, it's inevitable. You're going to lose some muscle. We preach, hi Letty, protein, protein, protein. and we preach strength training to maintain your muscle. We don't want to lose muscle. We don't want to lose hair. We don't want to lose the good tissue that we have. But it's inevitable that you're going to lose some muscle. So if you're not maintaining adequate protein resistance training and so on, you will lose muscle, not just fat. And that will slow your metabolism because muscle will burn more calories than fat does. So your appetite may be controlled. This is the next number. Your appetite may be controlled, but your habits, people often find, are not. So if you eat out of boredom or out of emotions, the medicine can't control that. Therapy can. So I guarantee you all the medicine in the world is not going to help if you are an emotional eater. I can eat through the medication. I can have my brain say, I'm full, and I can keep eating. In the beginning, I did, and it took me getting nauseous. It took me getting sick to realize that my brain was saying I'm full. I didn't know what that was. I didn't know my brain was saying I'm full. I had to recognize that my brain was saying I'm full. I had to slow down and listen for it. And then I was like, oh, that's what that is. My brain is saying I'm full, because otherwise I was eating through it. And I would wait until my stomach said I was full. I was not listening to my brain. And I was wondering in the beginning what was happening. So you've got to stop and slow down and listen to your brain. And sometimes that takes therapy. And there's nothing wrong with therapy. I use talk therapy every other Friday. And I don't look at myself as damaged. It took me years to find a good therapist that I trust. And I feel that I have a good therapist, and I just get everything out every 2 weeks. Erin has good news. What's your good news, Erin? I love talk therapy. That's awesome, Erin. And as soon as he fails it, he can get Zepbound. Alan just got Zepbound in the mail yesterday. He said Wegovy made him ill, which it did. I mean, he's been very nauseous with every single dose, and he completed the MOVE program, and those were the two things that he needed to do. Yeah, everybody, I did not do a sub live because I wanted to get this talk done and on YouTube. And I forgot. The last reason that your medication may not be working anymore is insulin resistance is improving, but it's not fully resolved. If your body is still insulin resistant, your burning fat signals are muted. So you still have some of that little truck that is being shooed down the road and depositing into the fat fields. Because insulin resistance, if you remember right, the organs need fuel. So they ring the bell to your brain. And your brain says, I'm hungry. I'm hungry. I need fuel. Eat. I need fuel. So you consume food because you're hungry. You need fuel. You eat, and that tells your pancreas to release insulin. Your pancreas releases the little truck insulin to go and pick up the fuel, the food, and it will take it to the organs that requested the fuel. If you are insulin resistant, it will stop. Say it stops at the liver first. And the liver goes, ew, insulin. I don't want your fuel. Go away. And happy little insulin drives his truck. I know, Amy. I can't help but tell myself. Happy little insulin drives his truck down the road, and the next organ does the same thing. The kidneys, the pancreas, all the other organs do the same thing. The spleen, everything does the same thing. Ooh, insulin. I don't want your fuel because they're insulin resistant. So now insulin has a truck full of fuel that he has to dump somewhere so he can pick up his next load. And he dumps it in the fat fields. So it's going to make more fat. And then he goes back to the pancreas to pick up more fuel in the gut the next time he's deployed. Well, that leaves the organs still wanting fuel because they didn't take insulin's fuel. So they send another signal to the brain saying, what's going on? We haven't received our fuel. And the brain says to the mouth, what's going on? We're still hungry. Eat, eat, eat. So you are never full when you are insulin resistant because your organs are constantly screaming for fuel. And they are never taking it from insulin, which is carrying that fuel because they don't like insulin. They're insulin resistant. They don't have the lock and key mechanism for insulin to fit in them. So they shoo insulin down the road. They're always hungry. So you are always tired, you're always hungry, and that is insulin resistance. So even if you've cured insulin resistance a little bit with these meds, but you haven't solved it completely, your meds are still going to appear to not be working. You're still going to have fatigue. You're still going to be hungry. So, can you add a medication to boost Mounjaro? The answer is yes. And with a practitioner's supervision, patients will benefit from strategic stacking of medications. But it's not a one-size-fits-all. Here's the down and dirty breakdown of some meds that you can stack onto GLPs. Well, what's that? A bunny crown? I don't want a bunny crown. Hold on. Let's do chili peppers. Yes, we do not want a bunny crown. Too expensive. There we go. So, the most common one that you see stacked with a GLP is topiramate or Topamax. One is generic, one is brand name. The mechanism that it works with is it reduces appetite, it alters taste signals coming from the taste buds, and it improves satiety. So it is often used with GLP-1 RAs. It is good for patients with BINGE eating, emotional eating, or patients high sassy, or patients that have migraines along with their eating problems, because even though it is a seizure medicine by FDA regulations, it is commonly used as a migraine medicine. It has never been FDA approved for a migraine medicine, but that is the most common usage for topiramate Topamax. The warning with topiramate Topamax is that it can cause some brain fog. It can cause extremity tingling, and it can cause mood shifts. Took, I just said at the beginning of this live, I haven't seen Took in a bit. I wonder what he's up to. Hi, how are you? I'm glad you're here. I haven't had any of those side effects either, Erin, and I take it daily. So, side effects are always, you take them with a grain of salt. When medications are tested, if any one patient reports that their left toe hurt under the full moon on a Tuesday, they have to write it down. They have to list it as a side effect. So you have to take side effects with a grain of salt. Shifted hours at work. Okay. Well, I'm glad to see you took. So that is the most common one that we see added with GLPs, just because it's the most innocuous. It's the most used for other things, so it's the easiest to get without people blinking an eye at, without people going, "Ooh, you're on that," type of thing, or "No, I don't want to take that." It's just it's an easy, and it's half of Qsimia. Yes. Bling bling. I'm not real good at watching the comments when I'm doing a talk, but I think Amy would pin anything that's super important. Let me see here. Contrave and Qsimia. Aaron answered you on something. Oops. Bling bling. What do you recommend to add to MJ? And Aaron said Contrave and Qsimia, which we'll talk about in just a little bit here. Yeah, my mods get most of the questions when I'm doing a talk, bling bling. You got your ZEP today. Good. So the next one that they can add for a short term is phentermine. Phentermine's mechanism is it's a stimulant that suppresses the appetite. They use it in the short term or in very low doses with GLPs. It can provide a temporary push to get you over a plateau. The warning with this one is it can raise the heart rate, it can raise the blood pressure, and it can raise anxiety in people. So usually anyone with heart issues are out. Anyone with anxiety issues are out. So phentermine is not one that they go to a lot unless they know your full history. Like if you've been going to the same doctor since you've been 2 years old, they would give you phentermine in a heartbeat if they knew your full history. Or if you've been going to the same doctor for 10 years, they'd probably give you phentermine. And as long as they knew your history and they were sure you didn't have heart problems and you didn't have anxiety issues, they'd probably give you phentermine, no problem. But they'd only give it to you for 3 months usually, and then they take it from you. The next one that they give to some people is Vyvanse. And again, it's FDA approved for binge eating. Did you know that? It actually is not FDA approved for ADHD, which is the most common use for it. The most common use of it is ADHD. But that is not what it's FDA approved for. FDA approved, I'll say it again, for BINGE, eating. So it is actually a very good one to pair with a GLP. Parker-Mast does help. Yes, it suppresses and increases satiety. It suppresses appetite and increases satiety. So Vyvanse can reduce compulsive eating and snacking. So if you're one of those that gets up at like 2 a.m. to open a bag of Doritos, Vyvanse would be your med. And then in the morning you're like, why'd I eat those? I wasn't really hungry, was I? Was I hungry at 2? Did I really want that sleeve of Oreos? This is not medical advice, exactly. You always do this in conjunction with your practitioner. And like I said at the beginning, none of it is one size fits all. You know, what works for one person may not work for another person. So it is a stimulant. So this is another one that is not ideal if you have heart concerns or anxiety. So again, your doctor would need to know your medical history. So how about if we go to some medications that are used for depression usually, but they actually work on food noise. You eat protein if you can't sleep, Press. So Cymbalta is actually an antidepressant, but it also quiets food noise. The big warning on that one is it can cause nausea, fatigue, nausea and fatigue, sorry. So when you hit 7.5, am I going to finally feel significant suppression? We don't chase suppression, we chase satiety. So there are times when you're going to feel like you can eat the house down. And you will still feel like you can eat the house down. But what you need to feel is when you sit down to eat and you eat 2 or 3 bites, 3 or 4 bites, and you're full. That's called satiety, and that's what you need to be chasing, is satiety. You don't want suppression. You need to feel hungry. You have to have hunger cues. If you are not hungry, your dose is too high. You have to be hungry. If you are not hungry, you need to back down on your dose. But yes, you should be chasing satiety, which is when you eat a little bit and you feel full. You know, you eat, for example, we had breakfast for dinner the other day, and normally before medications, I would have had 2 biscuits with gravy, a scoop of hash, 1 egg, and a couple of sausages. And I would have ate every bit of it. And I would have loved every bit of it. Well, I split 1 biscuit with my husband. I put a dollop of gravy on it, and I still didn't finish that half a biscuit. I had 2 sausages and half an egg, and I was stuffed to the gills. I felt like I had Thanksgiving dinner. So there's a huge difference, and that's my favorite thing. Breakfast for supper is my favorite thing to have. I do not like breakfast for breakfast, but I love breakfast for dinner. I love every breakfast food that there is. If you feed me breakfast any time of the day, except for at breakfast time, I will love you forever. I love every breakfast food that there is. But I can't eat first thing in the morning. I'm more of a proffy person first thing in the morning. But I love every breakfast food. Eggs, bacon, sausage, biscuits and gravy, pancakes, waffles, love it all. So when they make breakfast for supper, I am just in hog heaven. And I can't get enough of it. But now with him being on, well, he was on Wegovy until we just got Zepbound in the mail yesterday. Anyway, now with both of us being on a GLP, we split everything, and it was great. I got a little bit of carbs, I got a little bit of protein, and I was happy. So that's the difference. It's satiety. I felt like I had turkey. I was so stuffed yesterday that I could have gone all day today without eating. I still felt full today. I was taking papaya enzymes all day today. So another thing that you can take is Contrave. You get full, but not like that. Yeah. Contrave is extremely expensive, though, and a lot of pharmacies will not make it. So your doctor may prescribe it in 2 separate pills. And it takes 2 pills to make it. It's bupropion, which they'll probably have you take in the morning, and naltrexone, which they have you take at night. So the 2 together make Contrave, which should shut off food noise. You're so bad at texting. So Contrave is an amazing WL medication. And It does wonderful things. It did wonderful things when it was the newest and the best out on the market. It showed about a 5% in body weight loss. That's great. For an oral medication, that's great. So even with it split up, that's amazing. And it's one that your doctor can stack with a GLP because it's not another GLP. So speaking of another GLP, and can one of the mods throw up the not medical advice again? None of this is medical advice, but some doctors have even been stacking. I want the no medical advice up there. Before this one goes up, I want no medical advice up there. 100%. Will you just pin this is not medical advice? Because this is not from me and I do not condone this, but some doctors have been doing this. I wouldn't say it that way. Thank you, Amy. I'll address that in just a second, Sassy, but there are some physicians that have been prescribing low-dose semaglutide on top of high-dose tirzepatide and seeing good results that way. There is also a group of doctors that are doing macro dosing, which is because Eli Lilly is in 4th stage trials with tirzepatide, with the high dosing. They said it might as well be safe, and they are using very high doses of tirzepatide. I know those are proteins found in our bodies. I get that. It just makes me nervous. Yes, they're doing both, bling bling. And that's why I just wanted, this is not medical advice. I am just speaking on what I saw when I was doing the research. Whether I agree or not, it is something I saw when I was doing the research. So I just wanted to put it out there. So as far as pancreatitis goes, when you're on a GLP, pancreatitis can come from alcohol, period, whether you're on a GLP or not. Alcohol is very hard on the pancreas. So if you are already talking to the pancreas with a GLP, and then you stress the pancreas with alcohol, the theory is that you could be stressing it too much and cause pancreatitis. But I haven't seen that in real life. I haven't seen that. Yeah, Pris, I've seen them doing low dose of Sema with high doses of TERS. Because what they're doing there is essentially doing high doses of GIP with high doses of GLP. GIP RA and GLP RA. Because remember, the dual agonist only has 33% GLP and 66% GIP. No matter which dose you're taking, whatever the dose is, it is broken up into 66% GIP and 33% GLP, whereas Sema is 100% GLP. So all they're doing is trying to even out that GLP to the GIP. And they're trying to make it kind of a 50-50 med. They're essentially trying to make their own medication. I have had drinks on Manjaro. I don't drink every day, but like I'm going to be cruising next week, and I guarantee you I'll have a drink. So I wouldn't worry about a drink here or there. I would say it's more of the every night beer drinkers or the every night wine drinkers that have something to worry about. Your sis drinks every weekend. She's already taxing her pancreas. If her pancreas is healthy and good, she'll be fine. She'll know if she has pancreatitis. It's the worst pain you will ever have. Yeah, she'll know. Yeah. I mean, I'll have drinks on it here and there, every once in a while. Okay, so beyond medication. So before you go adding a medication and stacking onto your GLP-1 RA, make sure that these are dialed in. We all know these. Protein goal. Make sure that you are doing goal weight times 0.8 in grams per day. Make sure that you are strength training at least twice a week. Make sure that you're meal timing. Avoid under eating all day and then binging at night. Let me look it up here in just a second. Remember that sleep plus stress equals, less sleep and more stress equals high cortisol. And cortisol affects your insulin. And labs to check would be thyroid. And not just the T3. You want to check the TSH, the free T3, and the free T4, the cortisol, the insulin, all of your vitamin levels. The bottom line is you can stack medications to help boost your GLP if your weight loss has plateaued. The best options to combine with a GLP is topiramate especially if it's emotional or binge. If you just need a short-term push, phentermine would be the next one. And possibly Vyvanse if BED is something that you've been diagnosed with. Do not combine these meds without supervision of your practitioner. Stacking stimulants, GLP, and mood medications is very risky, and it can get ugly very fast. Do not do any of it without your practitioner's okay. And that, my dear, is that.